Welcome to our 5 on 5. Please welcome back Senator Ron Wyden. Senator, good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. So is there any chance Democrats can keep the same votes and add 8 Republican votes in the Senate, I believe 8's the number you need, to override the president's veto?
I think momentum is in our favor. What happened last week is a growing number of Senate Republicans have made it clear they are not going to let Donald Trump play with the Constitution like this is his toy Etch-a-Sketch. They're just not going to sit back and allow that. So I think the momentum is on our side.
Public lands bill signed by President Trump this week, adding hundreds of miles of wild and scenic rivers and protecting the Chetco from pollution. You're pretty excited about this.
I am. I had to negotiate that package, the Oregon provisions, with the leadership on both the House and the Senate side. It means an addition, for example, of 250 miles of wild and scenic rivers. This puts us as the leader on my watch in the lower 48. I think it's going to be a huge boon for the recreational economy in our state. And I think recreation has a lot of potential for rural Oregon. So I'm really pleased about this package. Also, the Frank and Jeannie Moore area, for example, a Devil's Staircase. I mean, there's some really exciting parts of that legislation, and the ban on mining in the Chetco.
You said in a statement that it will also increase wildfire protections. How will it do that?
Well, it is going to help particularly with Crooked River in Central Oregon. I thought it was important to make it part of my effort where you don't just move with some initial step that sounds good, but you make it part of a broader forest health issue where on an ongoing basis you try to go in there and clean out that dead and dying material. It's going to be easier under that provision that I added to the bill.
I want to ask you a personal question. Your family escaped Nazi Germany as a Jew, as a U.S. Senator. What do you think of what is seemingly a rise in hate? We had the Pittsburgh synagogue, we had New Zealand just days ago.
Well, I'm very concerned about it, and certainly we've never seen anything like this. And I will just tell you, the president really values his ability to speak clearly. He's talking about it all the time. I wish that he had stepped up and said a big part of this is due to a rampant increase in white nationalism around the world.
You've talked often about universal background checks. It's something you've talked about again this month. Now they're talking about gun control more in New Zealand. Where do the universal background checks stand here locally?
Well, we passed it in the House. It's really moving in that chamber. Look, I don't think that it's a violation of the Second Amendment to say we ought to make it tougher, for example, for somebody who's on the terrorist watch list to get access to a weapon, someone who has mental health challenges. I think that's just plain old common sense. I don't think it's Democratic. I don't think it's Republican. And I hear a lot of young people in rural areas say that.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Much more in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. We're going to hear with Senator Ron Wyden. Senator Representative Greg Walden calling for hearings on the Green New Deal. He says it would hurt Americans struggling to make ends meet and claims an independent study says it'll cost as much as $93 trillion over a 10-year period, driving up electricity costs 22%. What do you say?
I've certainly heard all kinds of scare rhetoric. There are people who say practically we won't have night baseball anymore if you have the Green New Deal. Here's an example of what I'm going to do under this. I'm the ranking Democrat on the Finance Committee. There are more than 40 separate tax breaks for energy. Most of them are really relics of dirty energy. I'm proposing throwing them in the garbage can and substituting one for clean energy, one for clean transportation fuel, and one for energy efficiency. I think that's going to be a winner for every Oregon business. That's the kind of thing that shows that we're serious about kicking the carbon habit.
You held a pair of town halls in Klamath and Lake counties on Friday. What's your biggest takeaway from those?
Biggest takeaway is the major issues still are the ones that have the second word bill. It might be medical bill, it might be energy bill, people are concerned about housing. They're concerned about all those bread and butter issues because there are a lot of folks there who are walking on an economic tightrope, balancing the food bill against the fuel bill against the housing bill. It was still the economic issues that drove the meeting.
Quick yes or no question. Are you in favor of daylight saving time on a permanent basis?
I'm in favor of Oregon having the power to make its own decision. I believe that is part of the debate now in Salem, and I'm very big on the proposition that not all the wisdom relies on Washington, D.C. Oregon has the opportunity to make its own decision. I'm for that.
All right, good to see you.
Thanks
for taking
for
the time.
having me.
Appreciate it. Stay with us. We'll be right back.